Welcome to the best outdoors program just off the shores of the mighty Red River. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, the heart and soul of all things related to God's great outdoors. Starring Gary McCoy, an all-around outdoorsman with a CMA Award for Best Personality in Radio. A man who excels in the radio world and needs no introduction to the outdoors, whether standing tall in the winner's circle or sitting low in the deer stand. Mike Eccles, the boss tournament trail director and outstanding duck hunting guide with a wealth of outdoors knowledge who's not afraid to give his opinion with or without the facts. His years of bass tournament experience ensures that rules are followed and anglers are kept in check. And last but not least, Daiwa and Ranger Pro Steve Graff, a member of the Northwestern State University Hall of Fame with years of bass tournament experience who continues his pursuit of a double-digit bass and championship stringers. So let's jump on the front deck and make that first cast with the legendary minds of the great outdoors. Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and the one and only Steve Graff. Take it away, guys.
Hey, this part of the show brought to you by, it's presented by. Presented by. That's a total different kind of a thing than brought to you by.
There you go.
Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Steve Nichols, and Specialty Traco. We love you, Steve Nichols. Also, CCA of Louisiana, Despino and Jim South Tire, and it's official K2 Coolers.
Yeah.
Now on board.
Now on board. We are officially
with K2 Coolers. I mean, you know, they got one for everything. I mean, they got one that'll just hold a 6-pack?
They got some that have wheels, no wheels, compact, tall, skinny.
Do they have one big enough to put Jay's ego in it?
No.
No chance. No one does.
No. Or Gary's.
Yeah.
You radio guys are the same.
Walk-in cooler for that one.
Hey, real quick, I want to toot Despino Tires horn. I want to toot Despino Tires horn. I got a new set of tires on my truck.
Yeah.
You know, it's like tennis shoes. I hate buying tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Do you? You know,
It don't bother me.
It bothers me.
It don't bother
that
me.
and tires.
Well, you know what bothers me is when I get to the checkout stand and they tell me how much.
No, well, that's my point.
Okay.
Buy a set of treads.
Oh, dude.
And then you really get a ticket. But anyway, they took good care of me over there at Natchitoches at Despino Tire, and I want to say thank you to those guys. Carl, Steve, and the gang over there do a great job at Despino Tire. Not just Natchitoches, but all their locations are first class.
I don't know what's I got a new chair.
You do have a new chair.
No, wait a minute. Look at this. I feel like I ought to be. It ought to be Saturday and cold outside.
And sitting on a deer stand.
I got some chicken wings and LSU's on the TV.
Your old chair's sitting over there in the corner.
They figured that's where I was supposed to go. If you're watching this right now, this looks comfortable.
And that chair can carry a big ego. That's why we switched it out.
There you go. It's a heavyweight chair.
Yeah, heavyweight.
Hey, listen.
We had a great show today.
Yeah, and you know what? Before we go any further, Eccles isn't in here right now, but he is on his way.
That's not what makes it a great show. Him not being here.
Well, but you know what? His absence is with good cause.
Yeah, it is.
We lost a great man over the last few days, Darrell Tuberville, who was the chaplain of the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Department, local minister. Awesome man, incredible individual. And Mike wanted to make sure that that he and Charlotte were there for the ceremony, or not ceremony, but
the funeral.
Yep. But the long and short is our thoughts and prayers with all those who have been greatly affected by this loss, because it's a debilitating loss. I mean, good man.
It really is.
Okay, on the show today.
Yeah, we got a great one.
The FLW Cup has been announced. Next year's FLW Cup. We'll tell you where that is.
Yep.
Also, Ty McCutcheon is coming on from Trail Life Troop, Louisiana, 2206. They got a little something we all might be a little bit interested in.
Well, I'm glad you sent it to me, Gary, and I want to say thank you for doing that, because this is a great organization.
Without
I've done a little research on it, and I'm telling you right now, we need more people like Ty McCutcheon out there doing what he's doing. So,
and the sad part is that people like this, if we don't support them, then it gets to be a moot point.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have individuals that are ready to step up,
and do a good thing,
it's our turn to at least support them in their efforts to reward them for the hard work that they've put into it.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, today's show, David Croissant is on, and if you haven't seen this on our Facebook page, We got a big issue in South Louisiana. Anybody that's ever fished down there, especially done some bass fishing or fished, for redfish, speckled trout around the Roseau cane,
right?
We got a problem.
Yeah, we do. Big problem.
And it looks like now they're thinking that this problem might have been going on even longer than they knew.
Yeah.
We'll address that issue. Also, something that you might have heard Tim Fletcher talking about a little bit earlier this morning. There is, would you say this is a major controversy?
It's turning into that.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely turning into
a major controversy over the BASS's decision to not hold, and I want you to listen carefully, not hold any more tournaments in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Does that include Toledo because it's a border lake?
No, that is the one body of water, even Red River is affected by this.
Oh gosh, yes.
So Toledo Bend is not affected.
Cooley's, and it all comes down, it stems from Louisiana being, I guess, one of the very few states in the nation.
The only state
that will allow coastal or
tidal
waters to be owned by private persons or corporations. Yep. And it has caused so much confusion. In fact, I was telling Fletcher earlier this morning, if you remember the Classic, last time it was down in New Orleans 6 years ago, maybe, somewhere along in there.
Right.
We had several contestants in that were shot at.
Oh, yeah. Shots fired in their direction.
Sure,
so
but you know what? You've
if you've been peppered before on a doe hunt, it's kind of the same deal. You're still shot at.
That's just so uncool. And BASS is saying, look, this is getting way out of hand because we can't even tell our contestants where they can fish.
No, it's not like there's a like you go in the woods, you'll see a blue line or a yellow line. You know what a property line is? It ain't like that. It's you just got to know where you're at.
Well, and the fact is that the trespass laws in the state of Louisiana, I understand. At one point, you had to put up signage and you had to have fences and all. And I understand it's the intruder, if you will.
Right.
It's your job to know where you are.
Yeah, that's right.
And the minute that you cross, but when you're in the water, there's nothing there
that's right.
that says you can't be here.
Well, Gary, twice I fished in Morgan City, and you know how it is down. It's a maze of canals.
Oh, my God.
Well, I went into the back of this one canal. Actually, saw some fish bust in the water way off in the distance. I said, man, there's some fish back there. So I crank up, and I run into the mouth of this canal, run all the way to the back of it. And there's a camp house in the back left-hand corner right there, and this gentleman come out on that porch with a shotgun. He said, son, you got about 15 seconds to get that boat cranked and get it out of here. That's happened to me twice down there.
Wow.
People have confronted me on the water.
Wow.
I had no clue it's private.
Yeah.
There's no signage even at the canal cut that says private waterway, do not enter.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Why? And you know what? If you had one of those spots, why in the world wouldn't you take the time so that you don't have to come out on the porch with a gun? Why wouldn't you take the time to put up a sign that says, hey, beyond this point is posted?
Trespassers will be shot on sight. Something.
Now, we've got some audio from an address on this particular issue.
Yeah, Jay, play that real quick.
I love living here in Leeville. I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. It's where my whole family's made their living. It's a paradise, and we're losing it every day. The Gulf's claiming it from the south, privatization of the waters from the north. The public access fishing is being squeezed out in the middle. The Barataria Terrebonne National Estuary is disappearing before our eyes. This is a prime example of what we're looking at here in Louisiana being posted. We're in wide open marsh, basically the Gulf of Mexico and the fingers that come right off of it, running water, which is deemed navigable by the state, and yet you have people that come out and they put pilings to stop access to the public. This is not a fight about the land. This is not a fight about who owns the water bottoms. This is only a fight for access to the running waters that are controlled by the ebb and the flow of the tide of the sea. This is a natural resource guaranteed to the people of the state of Louisiana and all sportsmen by our laws. This is not a saltwater issue. This is a statewide issue. From Cameron to Venice, Shreveport to Monroe, it is a freshwater, saltwater fishing issue.
And according to BASS, because of this issue, they're just like, it's a lot easier for us to go fish somewhere else.
Yeah. Well,
and in the elite tournament on the Sabine
River,
they've said you can't go into Louisiana.
They've now delegated Louisiana waters off limits for that event. So, and that's a lot of water.
There was a lot of people that were headed that direction.
Oh, yeah. I mean, half the field probably fished in Louisiana last tournament.
So
now they all got to go Texas side. and there's enough water there for them to do that,
Right.
but it's just, again, it's going to be a different tournament now.
Well, the BASS Director of Events and Tourism, Michael Malone, is going to explain the BASS's position on that.
Yep.
Then we're going to have a little bit of rebuttal because Cajun Fishing Adventures, Ryan Lambert, Louisiana's probably finest wing guide, duck guide,
Exactly.
saltwater guide.
Right.
I mean, a great friend of ours.
Yeah.
Is going to be on the show, and he's going to, explain a little bit of because he's got leased property.
He deals with this every day.
Every day.
Yep, every day.
And hopefully he'll be able to explain a little bit of the ins and outs about that. And David,
But this goes back, Gary, to, and I have some other stuff.
pre-Civil War.
1812.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about
way back.
This is a 200-year-old law.
Yes,
that,
I mean, and Ryan's going to explain that to us.
And well, David Croissant, also from the Coastal Conservation Association, is going to be on, and I'm sure that some of this will have some application in the red fishing and the speckled trout fishing in that regard. But his main thing will be the roseau cane and those issues. Also, about 12:30 this afternoon, we'll have FLW Pro Justin Atkins on. He is the winner of the 2017 FLW Cup this past week on Lake Murray, South Carolina. Did you keep up with that tournament?
Yes, I did.
Was he out of the blue, or did he lead it from wire to wire?
No, him and his roommate were 1 and 2 almost the entire tournament.
Wow.
Him and his roommate. It was a great deal. Pretty
Did
cool
they
deal.
find fish that no one else was on, or did they find a pattern that no one else was on?
I think they were fishing for deeper fish that other people went shallow. Remember, we had 2 or 3 interviews with guys that were fishing the cup.
Right.
And they all thought shallow water. It's a shallow water lake.
Right.
These guys, from what I understood, went deep.
Mostly smallmouth?
No, mostly largemouth.
Okay, I mean Kentucky, because they catch a lot of Kentucky.
Yeah,
bass there.
no. It's it was mostly largemouth.
Okay.
I don't know if they even weighed the smallmouth.
Well, that's on the show today. Of course, one of the things we want to remind you about, it's going to be your last weekend to practice. The Holy Angels Bass Tournament is next Saturday, August the 26th. Now, obviously, Thursday, Friday of next week is when one of the members of each team will have to make an appearance at Red River South. You'll go through the registration process.
Yep.
They've got some stuff to give you. You can pay
Thursday
your entry
or
fee.
Friday.
Yeah, Thursday or Friday.
Right.
And when we talked to Joe last week, I think they're there, like 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 or 7 in the evening. And they're going to do this, both Thursday and Friday.
You'll have plenty of time to stop by there.
And don't forget now, on our Facebook page, you want to jump on there because we're giving away a free entry into the Holy Angels Bass Tournament. All you got to do is find that post on our Facebook page,
right,
which is Hooking Up and Tracking Down. Find that, share that, comment, and like it, and we're going to draw.
And your name goes into a hat.
Yeah, we're going to draw next. What is it? No,
Wednesday.
This Friday. We're drawing this Friday. This Friday we will draw the winner because we didn't need to wait until next week.
We didn't?
Yeah, so we're drawing this Friday.
Okay. We're going to draw this Friday.
We're drawing this Friday.
All right, cool.
We will announce the winner of that. Somebody getting free entry into the Holy Angels Tournament. Also,
now, I'm going to have to leave that up to you because I'm out of pocket.
Okay, I can handle it.
So,
but we'll get Top Water to do it.
Top Water?
He's just,
Yeah, totally. I'm just along for the ride, boys.
Oh, there you go. Pushing the buttons and making it happen.
We are Hooking Up and Tracking Down, 11:30. The Tiger.
This segment of Hooking Up and Tracking Down is presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, J&J Exterminating, V&M Baits, Paul's Farm and Garden, and Silver Star Smokehouse. Now serving the best barbecue in 3 great locations: Shreveport, Bossier, and Texarkana, Texas.
Red River Waterway Commission would like to invite you to check out our newest RV park on Red River. Located at Grand Accor Recreation Area at 1071 Towson Island Road in Natchitoches, Grand Accor RV Park has 59 RV sites with full hookups on concrete pads, an activity center, high-speed Wi-Fi, bathhouse, and laundry facilities. For more information, go to grandaccorrvpark.com or call Park Director Lane Miller. That's Lane Miller at 318-238-7446.
Gary McCoy along with the Old Ranger Daiwa Pro Staffer Steve Graff and a little Topwater. Jay Watley's in there. We're waiting on Mike Eccles. Hopefully we'll be along pretty shortly after the funeral of Darrell Tuberville.
Yeah, and as you've already alluded to, as you talked about who's on the show today, Justin Atkins actually won the FLW Cup at Lake Murray, South Carolina this past week, and congratulations. We're going to have Justin on later in the show. Real quick, I'm going to give you the kind of the top 10 guys and what the standings were, how close the weights. Justin, of course, finished first with 54 pounds. It's a 3-day event, 54.4. Second place was Travis Fox at 56.11. Brandon Cobb was his, I think.
Oh, wait a minute. How do you win it with 54.4 and second had 56?
No, I meant 59. What did I say?
You said 54.4.
Oh, I'm sorry. 59.4 won it. 56.11 was in second. Brandon Cobb, who was Justin's roommate.
I was fixing to holler foul. Whoa.
Brandon and Justin are roommates on the tour.
Okay, cool.
So they finished first and third. Brandon had 54.10, and it was just a great event for both of those. They were top 2 or 3 the whole tournament. Brian Thrift, who we've had on the show, great angler, one of the top elite pros in the FLW Tour. He finished fourth with 51.15. Anthony Gagliardi, another great angler with FLW. He finished fifth with 51.3. Michael Neal. Michael had a big impact here on Red River. I think he finished second or third in the FLW Cup when it was here on Red River.
Behind Randall Tharp?
Behind Randall Tharp.
Okay.
And Michael was doing something that a buddy of mine, Randy Fair, we all know Randy Fair. Randy's J&J Exterminator, one of our great sponsors. He works for J&J. Well, Randy was a camera boat operator. Michael was going, now listen to this because I thought this was interesting. He was throwing a chatterbait. Mm-hmm. When he would lock through from 5 to 4, mm-hmm. he would idle out the gate, put the trailer motor down immediately, and fish the left-hand side to the end of the bridge piling, mm-hmm. to the end of the, what do you call that, the end of the lock.
Okay.
He'd fish that left-hand rock bank with a chatterbait. He'd catch a couple of 3-pounders, crank up, run all the way to the other lock. Lock through from 4 into 3.
Do the same thing?
Do the same thing.
You're kidding me.
No, and that's how he finished second.
He had to hurry, though, while that water was still coming out.
There's always water moving around the lock, usually.
But I would imagine that the minute that someone is locked through is when the water's moving.
Oh, there's definitely
most.
Water moving. Yes,
yeah.
You're right. And I don't know how quick it stops, but yeah.
How many times do you remember back in the days down on Toledo Bend when the shad would be all out in the middle of the river? And I'm talking about an August, September bite, somewhere along in there. Shad are all out in the middle of the river. All of a sudden, a boat comes through, blows all the shad off to the sides. You catch 3 or 4 fish real quick.
Yeah.
And it's basically the same kind of a scenario.
Yeah. We've seen some pros on TV before crank their boats up
and drive through
and do a circle or something to try to fire up the shad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, Scott Suggs, Arkansas pro Scott Suggs, finished 7th in this event. He had 43.3. Scott Martin, good big fan of the show and a guy we've had on the show several times. From Florida, Scott finished 8th in this event with 41.4. Wesley Strader was 9th, and Aaron Britt finished 10th with 31. Big drop-off there, Gary, from 10th all the way up to 1st. Almost, 20-something pounds?
Well, it's because they didn't get to fish the third day.
Well, the top 10 did.
Yeah. When you said
top 10 fished the final day.
Right.
So still, it's a big gap between 31.9 and 59.4.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Between 10th and 1st.
Yeah. That's a big gap.
Well, when you consider, that's about an average of about 7 pounds a day.
Right.
20 pounds over the course of 3 days.
Just some local names of interest or area names of interest. Andrew Upshaw, who's a Hemp Hill boy, the former Stephen F. Austin national champion, finished 15th in this event. He had 23.15. I'm just looking down here. Cody Meyer. Let's see. Daryl Robertson. Clark Ream is from this area. He's originally from Leesville. He finished 23rd with 20 pounds 9 ounces. Shiniki Fuqua, who I happened to fish with one time. Unbelievable day. I felt like a yo-yo getting up and out of the boat that day. Clark Windlet, we've had on the show. He finished 27th. Another great angler. I think he's won Angler of the Year 3 times in FLW. Mark Rose, probably the best angler on tour just about in that circuit. He finished 36th. But anyway, James Watson, who we had on. James finished 40th. And it just never got untracked. James seemed to struggle in this particular event. And so congratulations to Justin. Looking forward to having him on today. Great story. Just one of those, when you hear the story, it's moving. So
really?
Yeah. He almost didn't fish this year.
Really?
Yep. It's pretty cool.
Well,
he put his faith in God. He will let you know that.
Really?
Yes, sir. It's a great story.
Well,
looking forward to Justin talking to us today.
You know, and you can't always say that just because you put your faith in God is why you won the tournament.
Exactly.
Sometimes God says no. That's not what I
want
want you to do.
It ain't your turn.
You know, and God says no. I need you to do something else, or this isn't the right time, and you have to understand that. That I always had a contention with. Remember Garth Brooks' song, "Unanswered Prayers"?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as an unanswered prayer.
Exactly.
Sometimes the answer is no.
Yeah, you just refuse to hear the answer.
I've tried to have to tell my wife that with my kids. You know, no is also an answer.
Exactly. It may not be the one you want to hear.
Yeah.
The 2018 FLW Cup is coming back to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
You know, that's kind of a cool deal. My son went up over the course of last weekend up to Hot Springs. And, you know, Lake Catherine, Lake Hamilton, Lake Ouachita, some of the most beautiful bodies of water that you've ever been. And though Lake Ouachita will be off limits to these guys, you know, Catherine and Hamilton fish so much alike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can go up there in that area and
get a little.
The same thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they'll put all 3 off limits.
No, they don't do that.
But you would think, you know, and some of those guys who are fishing the FLW are Hot Springs hands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's where George Cochran actually won it.
What would you think?
On his home body.
What would you think? Now,
Scott Suggs will be a favorite in that event.
It's going to be about the same time next year, about the second week of August, right along in there,
August
at
10th.
Lake Ouachita.
Yeah, August 10th through the 12th.
When you think of fishing Ouachita, because you go every year around Labor Day to Lake DeGray.
Right.
When you're up there, is it light line and a tube? Is it what you know? Is it a topwater bite early?
Well, believe it or not, DeGray is more of a stained up lake. Not
compared to those.
Compared to Hamilton and especially Ouachita. Ouachita's got good grass in it, and like you said, you can read a dime in 20 foot of water.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
That definitely requires that 8-10 pound test lines. You know, to catch.
Not a whole lot of braid fishing up there.
No, not a whole lot of punching going on either.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a small diameter type line, clear line, fluorocarbon type leader type place. And again, Scott Martin, I think won the last one there. Scott Suggs is always a contender there because it's his home body of water.
You know what? You talk about Scott Martin. It'd be cool to have Roland as a dad. You know, to be able to tell you, you know, teach you all those things. But do you think that there would come a point where, I mean, you kind of be resentful of living in your dad's shadow? I mean, no matter what you do, it just doesn't quite measure up to your dad if he's Roland Martin.
If there's anybody that's handled that extremely well, I think it's Scott.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you know,
he's never made it. He never even alluded to it.
But wouldn't it be tough deep down inside that no matter what you accomplish, you know, it would be hard.
Like Michael Jordan's kid, you know.
Oh, God.
You can never do enough.
Yeah,
you can win 6 NBA titles.
He's 9 years old and can't dunk. What is wrong with this kid?
Yeah, can you imagine the pressure? And you're right, Roland Martin, who a lot of people consider the greatest angler of all time.
Yeah.
He won more BASS tournaments until Kevin Van Dam came along than anybody.
Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
He won 19 BASS events. That's crazy, dude. And Van Dam's at 24.
Wow.
That's insane. I'm sorry. You're talking about the best in the world.
Look at our buddy Eccles walked in this door. Good night.
He's preaching today.
He's wearing shoes.
He's wearing dress pants.
I'm just not
long sleeve breeches.
Long sleeve breeches on and everything.
It cleans up well.
We did extend our condolences to the family. That's you know, I never met Darrell, but I understand that he was an incredible individual.
You know, you meet a lot of good people in your life, but you don't really meet many great people.
Yeah.
And I could say I've met and had a relationship with two great people. Dallas Green was one.
Yeah.
And Darrell Tuberville was the other one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
I imagine it was a madhouse at the funeral home.
Well, I just left. I bet it's not half over.
Wow.
And it's one of those services. Most of the time, like 45 minutes, you start getting antsy.
Yeah.
11:15, people were still glued to the speakers and the singers.
Wow.
I mean, just like they don't want it to be over.
Yeah.
So,
I just don't want people to clap when they hear I died. You know.
At my funeral, half the people will be there to give condolence. The other half will be there just to make sure I'm really gone.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
Elvira, Elvira, my heart's on fire for Elvira.
The Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show thanks you for tuning us in today. This segment presented by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, and Bellevue Meat Processing. More than a meat processor, offering a variety of Louisiana-made products like Mayhaw jelly, barbecue sauce, and seasonings. Here are some guys that need some seasoning: Steve, Gary, Mike, and Jay.
Hey, have you got a few things that need repairing on your duck line, maybe at the deer camp? Well, United Rentals is your one-stop shop for all your rental tools and equipment needs. Services like custom on-site solutions, online management tools that will simplify and save you money on all or any and all of your outdoor projects. With online services and equipment protection plans that will make your job easier and safer. So let United Rentals help to ensure all your deer stands or duck blinds are in the best shape possible. Go to UnitedRentals.com to find a dealer near you. United Rentals, the largest rental company in the world. Thank you, David Ducho.
I actually saw one of their service trucks hauling some big piece of equipment somewhere this morning.
Oh, man, let me say, he has constantly got stuff going on.
I'm telling you.
And, and not just for the big construction guys or,
right.
Those kinds of guys. I mean, there's a ton of guys rent just from the course of the weekend. Maybe you do it yourself or,
yeah, right.
Who's got a jackhammer?
Yeah, or like right now, I need a genie so I can power wash my ceiling in my carport.
Oh, yeah, or you think about, you're going to do hang your Christmas lights.
Yeah.
You get one of those little, Scott, what do they call it? Lift
I call them
thing?
genies.
Is that what you call it?
Ladder.
No. I got one of those too, but I don't have to rent that one.
Don't complicate things, McCoy. It's called a ladder.
Hey, Ty McCutcheon is on the phone with us right now from Trail Life Troop, Louisiana 2206. Ty, explain that. What is Trail Life Troop, Louisiana 2206?
Well, Trail Life is a Christ-centered outdoor boys organization. We're a scouting group, and we're just centered around Christ. We like to go out in the outdoors, have fun, go fishing, camping, and hiking. That's basically what we do, and we do all these things, just centered around Christ, just to make that our focal point.
So what you're saying is that we've got a Christian scouting organization.
Absolutely.
And when is it just young men only?
No, it's from kindergartners to 18-year-olds, and then there's also advanced programs for college-age students also.
So I'm saying, but is it just for boys or?
It is for boys for Trail Life, but we have a sister troop called American Heritage Girls, and that's for the girls. It's a Christ-centered, girls outdoor adventure program.
So give me an example. I mean, one of the outings that maybe you guys would do. I mean, what would be something?
I'll tell you the best fun that we had last year. We went to Villa Platte, Louisiana. We went to a real-life crawfish pond, and we went crawfishing all day, and then we came back, and we had a big crawfish boil. I mean, there's nothing better than catching your food and then eating it the same day.
Dude.
Yeah, and getting it free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
better.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Whenever we got there that afternoon, man, that guy, the landowner, was mad. We didn't tell him we were coming. So you got to be quick.
You lost some of them jumping the fence, right?
Okay. You just got to get what you got and go. Yeah. But we did eat some of them raw, but that's okay. No one got sick that I'm aware of.
It's not like oysters.
No.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Well, hey, Ty, this is Mike Eccles. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you.
I'm going to kind of ask a question. Maybe this is kind of on the fence, but why was this organization formed instead of the Boy Scouts? Or if you don't want to answer that, why would you join this organization as opposed to the Scouts?
I'll tell you exactly why it was formed. It was formed in 2013, and it was formed by some they're Eagle Scouts, and they were tired of the bureaucracy and the PC life that the Boy Scouts kind of had cowered down to.
Yeah.
So, Trail Life was formed just like, hey, we're not ashamed of who we are and what we believe. That's the basics of it. They just want to make sure, say, hey, you know where we stand. We're going to go by the principles in the Bible, and that's it. A boy is a boy, and he's going to go to the men's room. So when we go on outings, we don't have to sit there and ask him, hey, where do you need to go today?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Well, I think, Ty, Steve Graff here, I think one thing, Ty, that besides the outreach program that you guys have for Christ, which is awesome, it's just the fact that you're getting kids in the outdoors. And me and you, when we talked yesterday, you told me there's a rule that you have in place when it comes to electronics. What is that rule?
Absolutely. The electronics need to be left at home. We go to the outdoors to experience the outdoors. Whenever we go crawfishing, it's like you're not going to get that on a video game or an iPad. That's real live activity. And also, this is for fathers and sons to bond. I mean, myself included, we're so busy, and we spend a lot of time in front of computers or tablets, but we want this time to be bonding time for men. We're trying to grow up, these young leaders into productive citizens, in our society, and, you're not going to get that if you're always, got your Netflix going on your iPad or something like that.
Amen.
Well, how many seizures are occurring when you take the kid's cell phone away from,
Each outing during the year, it gets progressively less and less.
Does it really?
Do you see the look of the desperation in their eyes?
Yeah, lost.
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean I can't have that?
Yeah.
And that's from the dad.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
dad.
It's like
Yeah,
taking
they're saying, no, that's just for the kids, right? Not the parents.
Now, how big is this organization, Trail Life USA? I mean, is this
This is a national organization. Now, actually, our troop was the first one chartered in North Louisiana. It started in 2013, and every week, we get little updates that saying, "Hey, a new troop started in this state." So, it's progressively going, bigger and stronger. And I think it's, mostly the fact that, when you put your trust in an organization for your young man, you want to know what they're getting into.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because of the necessity to form Trail Life USA. I assume that you have a Cracker Jack legal team and that at some point the PC side of you, or the lack of, is going to be challenged.
I mean, I think that's going to be, one day it will, if it has not already. And, since we're organized by the, the mothership of Trail Life, they do have a legal team, they do have insurance. But also, each individual troop, we're individually organized underneath a church. So we do have that, that guidance or that umbrella of a church, because we're organized under Barksdale United Methodist Church in Bossier City.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a little bit of that where we can, stand up for our beliefs under the church itself.
Amen.
Tom, looking at your itinerary for September, October, November, I noticed it's pretty much a steady routine here. Almost every week you're doing something. Troop meetings. Give us a typical troop meeting. What constitute? What do you cover in that typical troop?
Right,
meeting?
and we meet every Tuesday at Barksdale United Methodist Church from 6, around 7:30 or 8. When we first get to there, we have an opening flag ceremony, and then we'll break up in our groups. We have a group of young boys, elementary age, and then we have the older middle school and high school age. Now, at the beginning of it, we'll play some little games, some outside activity, and then we'll break off into different lessons. One, we might have a knot tying. We're going to teach the boy to tie knots. One might be we're going to learn about the American flag, the heritage of the flag, how to fold the flag, and how to display the flag. And then at the end, we'll come together. We'll always have open and closing prayer, and we also have a Bible passage, verse that kind of goes along with our lessons also. And then some of the badges that we earn, they're also, Christ-centered badges. They have one for, they call it Respect the Life badge, where if we participate in, the pro-life march that's in January, that's it. If we go visit a crisis pregnancy center, things like that. So some of the badges, are in our curriculum, just kind of built on our faith also.
Well, you answered my question just now about is there a project reward type of program, merit badges, like you have with, like you have a regular Boy Scouts. So
absolutely, yes.
Are there different levels like Eagle, Star?
Yes, they have all those. There's something there's some type of transition from each age group.
Okay.
The Eagle Scouts for the Boy Scouts, we have the Freedom Award, so that would be the highest one a boy could wear or earn.
How does a young man go about getting membership?
Well, they can find us on Facebook. You could just go in the search on Facebook and put Trail Life Bossier City, and we have a Trail Life page right there where you can contact us, and you can come by and we'll give you instructions and a registration packet to show you kind of our little layout of what we do, when we meet, our activities, and they can come back and just check us out and see what we're all about and see if they'd like to join our organization.
And if you do not believe in what Trail Life believes in,
just don't join.
Yeah. Find something else.
That easy.
Just don't join. Go to the Boy Scouts.
Right.
Yeah.
If they favor what your belief is.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So, and that's the only reason I brought up, why it was formed. I wasn't trying to pick on anybody, but someplace out there's got to be a lot of families who have been disappointed in the direction that the Boy Scouts of America has taken,
Absolutely.
and they probably pulled their kids out.
Mm-hmm.
They did, and our troop master is actually an Eagle Scout, and he told us, he did not want to have his sons involved in Boy Scouts anymore just because of the turn that they decided to take.
Yeah.
So now he leading trail life.
But he still wanted them to learn the things that
absolutely.
outside of those
Yeah.
political political
Right.
drama, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, not tying. I mean, my son's got 2 sisters. That comes in very handy when they're giving him, grief. You think it's quiet in the house, then you go find out you got 2 sisters hogtied underneath the bed.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have been watching. I've gotten glued on these shows like on the A&E channel and stuff like that. The Life Below Zero, survival shows.
Yeah.
I mean, I am just glued. Do y'all teach like fire building?
Absolutely.
Primitive
yeah,
fire
we have
building.
fire. Yep. We don't no matches. We got
Right.
flints. We got that trying to sleep outdoors underneath the skies without the Coleman tent, cooking on an open flame.
Mm-hmm.
We do that absolutely. Yeah, and then also we last year in January went to Camp Wilhelmina in Arkansas.
Love it.
When we
Been
had
there.
a cold weather camp out, and it was great.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't go hang out in the Queen Wilhelmina Lodge while the kids were out there freezing their tails off, did you?
I cannot say for sure if that happened or did not happen.
Well, Ty, one thing I've noticed is, again, on the itinerary, every month you guys are getting these kids outside at least twice a month, whether it's hit the trail on Red River or a camp out somewhere. Tyler State Park, I see, is upcoming
yeah.
in September.
Yep.
And, again, this is what our youth is missing today, is that outdoor exposure.
Positive.
Positive, yes. They're just
Yes.
not getting that. And,
Yeah, no, I mean, you just can't get these life lessons, when you're sitting in front of a TV and or tablet or on a video game. You might
Right.
have deer hunting, on your Xbox, but it's not the same.
No.
Ty, do y'all get involved in like lake cleanups, Red River cleanup, things of that nature? Community-wide events.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I tell you, last year we did the Pro-Life March in January.
Yeah.
But every year we also look for service products. Like last year we collected money for the Crisis Pregnancy Center.
Mm-hmm.
So now, this coming up year, we're going to need some new projects to get involved with. And we haven't picked one yet, but we have, we love to get out.
Well,
Community.
Ty, I've got you covered because
Okay.
this Saturday, you can bring all the boys over to my house, and we've got Weed the Flower bed,
Weed the Flower.
and I'll feed them hot dogs and Cokes,
And y'all cook them on an open fire.
Yeah, it won't be hot dogs; it'll be Vienna sausage, but it's a small bun. But
And next spring's
all the
season
ice
for his
water,
garden.
all the ice water they can drink, and it's going to be like a beautification program for
Yeah.
this
For the
crap
apple.
I got growing in my front yard.
Yeah, we'll put that down. I think they get a merit badge for that one.
Yeah, you will.
Ty, if somebody is wanting to check things out, when's the next meeting?
It'll be the 22nd of this month is going to be our actually first registration meeting for the year.
Mhm.
If they can't make that, they can come any Tuesday to the Marksville United Methodist Church.
Mhm.
They can find us on Facebook and see where we're going to be, out and about in the community.
Now, Ty, if somebody wants to start their own troop, say at Natchitoches or Mansfield
Yeah.
or Manny, what do they need to do?
Go to traillifeusa.com and actually you'll find a start your own troop icon on there. Click on that and that'll give you all the instructions to do.
Cool.
Ty, you come from a great family. We love your daddy. We love your uncle.
Well, I appreciate
and,
that.
And it was men like that created a man like you, and that's the tradition that we've got to continue.
Absolutely. I mean, I still hunt, and everything with Don and Steve. That's how we bonded.
Exactly. And that's the tradition that you're wanting to uphold.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of people that don't want us to have that. We got to protect that. We need to grow up men that are going to want to do those same activities and protect our natural resources and appreciate them.
Well,
Now,
Tom,
who's the better hunter, you or Uncle Don?
I can't remember. So long, of course he is. He's got more of the bucks on the wall. I'm gonna say that I got 3 kids, so I don't get to go out as much as I used to.
Okay. All right.
Ty McCutcheon of Trail Life Troop, Louisiana 2206. If you're interested in forming your own Trail Life Troop, just go to traillifeusa.com. And of course, if you are interested in attending any of these meetings, again, you can go to the Facebook page, Trail Life Bossier, and to get detail on that. Ty, thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate what
thanks
you're
for
doing
letting
for
me
our
on.
young men.
Yeah.
So I appreciate y'all.
We are hooking up and tracking down David Crisson from the Coastal Conservation Association is up next. We got a little issue with roseau cane that might be a big problem. 11:30, The Tiger.
At HUTD, we love to be social, so check out our Facebook page at Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show for outdoors news and videos. This segment presented by United Rentals, Bob Seeley Outdoors, Wildwood Resort at Toledo Bend, and Mustang Survival, designing and manufacturing marine safety and climate protection products for over 45 years. How about it, guys?
Okay, how about it, guys?
Oh, I got Mustang Survival, don't I? Let me get to Mustang Survival. I was sitting here looking at trying to find some information for the next segment. Mustang Survival, the best personal flotation device, is the only one you need to wear. That's why Mustang Survival wants you to choose a PFD that fits comfortably and is made for whatever water sport activity you're engaged in. From foam vests and automatic inflatable.
That foam, that's some good stuff. Now I'm telling you, it floats and it's foam.
I'm telling you, well, that's why it's called foam.
That's right.
It floats.
What was that stuff? What was that stuff that Eddie Murphy came up with? That was the slime. What'd they call that stuff?
I have no idea. Slime sounds good.
Anyway.
But Jay gets his hair cut with a Flow B.
There you go. From foam vests and automatic inflatable PFDs to float coats and bib pants, they offer a complete range of products to meet your marine and outdoor activity needs. To see the entire line of Mustang products, go to MustangSurvival.com. Mustang Survival, trusted, proven, and dependable.
While we're waiting to
I want to thank Graf for that.
Yeah.
Because
that plug.
I think I just moved up the food chain on this show. Thank you.
You got eliminated the first segment because your first call was the first segment.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have flubbed it up like you did.
I floated that one.
Yeah.
While we're waiting on David Crisson from the CCA, there was an issue, and one of the two of y'all posted this on the Facebook page. Was it you, Mike, about the rosocaine? And there's
no.
Then it was you, Graf. There's some kind of a, what is it? Is it a mite? Is it
a fungus? An algae?
No, that's an insect.
It's an insect. It's a bug. I didn't know if it was a mite or a.
It's a Salvinia beetle.
There you go.
Don't you wish? Don't you wish? You know,
why can't that have an impact on our Salvinia up here? Why don't we have that beetle come up here? Whatever it is.
But the rosocaine, what a lot of people don't realize is that the rosocaine, especially along the sides of the spoil banks and stuff where they've dug the canals, anywhere down in the coastal region, that rosocaine holds the material together.
It's the glue.
Exactly.
It's the glue that holds the marsh together in a lot of places, and it kind of looks like switch cane. It's not as prolific, I guess. It doesn't just grow out of hand like switch cane does.
Yeah.
Right.
There's never been anybody in the world planted switch cane that a year later didn't regret it.
It was the worst mistake you will ever make.
Yeah.
I think I want a little privacy right there. I'll plant some.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I wish I could see my house.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. It's what holds the marsh together in a lot of places down there, and they've got a beetle or something that's attacking it. Apparently at a great rate, and if we get David on, he'll know more than what I'm probably trying to make up about.
Well, the article
it.
that you had on there said that that the problem has actually been around a couple of more years longer than what they thought. They didn't realize that it had been there, so it's really at a matured rate now.
Well, and for people that fish our bodies of water in our neck of the woods, it's similar to cattails that protect the edge of your waterways, like on Red River. By the way, I was on Pool 4. The reeds are back in full strength on Red River. Pool 4. They are really coming back strong, and also found some good lily pad patches that are back. Now, certain areas that in Sullivan's used to have great lily pad fields, there's nothing there. But there are some backwater areas like Little Jungle. Some of those pads are starting to reappear again, so that's good news.
I've actually talked to a couple of our teams here in the last week or two that have gone to Red River that hadn't fished it in like 18 months, 2 years, and are catching fish. I mean,
we caught fish Saturday.
18, 19
Friday.
pounds.
Toledo Bend.
Okay.
Toledo Bend.
Grass and pads.
Grass and pads at
okay.
Housen.
Wow.
I mean, beautiful grass.
Huh.
Hydrilla.
That's one of my favorite spots right there. You got on that phone. That's where I fish.
Now, Michael, I want to ask you a question. I know you got something here on dove hunting.
Yeah.
Have you hunted the river for dove before? Have you ever hunted Red River?
Yeah, there's been a time or two.
Is it a good place to go dove hunting?
You have to. The best way to kill doves on the river is if you can catch. If you're in a place where they're flying from one field to the other.
Right. Crossing route across the river.
But what happens is if you're where you're supposed to be, maybe down on the sandbars, the banks of the river are so high that the doves cross and
Out of range.
they're out of range. They're too high.
Okay.
So people have a tendency to want to migrate up the banks, which is exactly
And you're trespassing at that point.
Yeah, and you've got to really, really be careful.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
you
just,
know what?
It's not anywhere on the river. Like I said, you have to know that Bogart's got a sunflower seed there, and they're
Hoagland's got one down here.
Yeah, and you got to be in that flight path.
Right.
So.
But you know what? One of the things that's occurred to me is you'll see a lot of times doves that are flying across like that, and you think that'd be a great sandbar to set up on.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guess what? They planted that field to shoot doves out of it.
Yeah.
So why in the world wouldn't they put somebody right there at the edge of the field nearest the water?
Right.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, are you gonna try to outshoot that guy? All of a sudden you're set up right here. He's
cutting you off.
Exactly. You lose that war
Exactly.
unless you are truly violating the trespass law.
Right.
Fortunately, most dove shooters don't hit what they're shooting at. So
That's true.
It's just when they finally get to your property, they're going faster. But there has been some changes, new dove hunting regulations for LDWF WMAs, that's wildlife management areas, and leased dove fields this will be in effect during the 2017 and 18 season. Starting August the 10th, 2017, the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries is reminding dove hunters that a new regulations governing the type of shot dove hunters may use on LDWF wildlife management areas, WMAs, and LDWF leased dove fields will be in effect for the 2017-18 hunting season. Hunters on these areas will be limited to the use of non-toxic shot, which means I guess it's going to be tungsten
Steel
or
shot.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't use a non-toxic shot sizes 6 and smaller, which means 6 and up.
Yeah.
6, 7 halves, 8s for dove hunting. The change is intended to reduce the deposition of lead shot and potential effects of lead on wildlife. I think that is so overrated, it's pathetic. That wasn't written in this article. I threw that in there. Current research has demonstrated that in dove fields and areas surrounding dove fields, deposition of lead is high. Concentration of lead is elevated in the soil. Big deal. The regulations were proposed and adopted in order to mitigate potential exposure of lead to wildlife in areas impacted by the activity. Go to LDWF website at wlf.louisiana.gov to see the new regulations.
Now, this doesn't have anything to do with private fields.
No.
My question
it does
is:
not.
is this the beginning though of switching people over?
Well, I'm sure it could be.
Yeah, that's what
I mean, in California, they're trying to stop you from using lead weights and lead head spinner baits.
Oh yeah.
And I just don't see the impact from it.
No.
Mike, tell me this. I mean, you're as big a dove hunter as I know. The amount of ducks crippled by steel shot that would have been dead had the hunter been shooting lead. Compare that to the number of ducks that you see swimming around loopy, they're crazy because they've got lead poisoning.
Yeah.
Compare those two numbers for me.
I don't mind making it up. I don't really know what it is. Obviously, cut and dried, and I didn't duck hunt a lot. I mean, I did some, but not a lot. It wasn't my passion back when we were shooting lead shot.
Okay.
But everybody I talk to, 100% of the people will tell you that you kill ducks better, faster, more cleanly,
Humanely.
yes, with lead shot. What it was, you got the lead out there. You shot a duck, it was crippled. You shot a quail, something like that, and an eagle ate the duck and got lead poison. An eagle and died. And it's just like, oh, we killed an eagle.
Yeah. Indirectly.
Yeah. So we've got to, we got plenty of eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, in Alaska, they're a nuisance.
Yeah, they really are.
That's just the way we think. We've got to change the whole policy. And it doesn't matter if you're losing 15 or 20% of the ducks that you shoot and wound. They fly off and die. That doesn't matter. We just, we killed something innocent.
But it only takes one animal rights activist or one tree hugger
Right.
Well,
Change everything.
But that's this country right now.
Oh, no doubt.
We've let the
exactly
minority rule this country, which is the exact opposite of what
how it
democracy was, why it was founded.
Right.
We've allowed 14% of America to decide for the other 86%.
Yeah.
And I don't get that. I don't understand that, and you can't explain it to me that I ever will.
Because the other 86 have become complacent, and we will not stand up and fight our own people for what we believe in.
Apathy is the enemy.
Yeah.
And again, it's just like we were talking about with Ty McCutcheon and the Trail Life Troop. And if you are not willing to do what it takes to support your beliefs, then you're as bad as the problem.
That's exactly right. You got to stand up. And this next segment, that's hour 2, is we're just basically the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, with us as anglers losing our rights to fish. It's right here on Red River in our backyard. Can't go in Cooley's. Can't go in Stevens Lake. Can't go in the barge turnaround. Public water that's, well, I say it's public water. I guess it's considered private water, but it's still navigable water that you should be able to go in and fish, and you can't do it.
Well, we'll get the BASS to stand on it here in just a minute. On the way, Director of Events and Tourism, Michael Malone, and the big controversy over the BASS decision to not hold any more tournaments in Louisiana. Next, Hook It Up, Track It Down, 11:30, The Tiger.
They bought her a car after graduation.
Get ready for another hour of the best outdoor show on the radio, the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show. This segment presented by Ranger Boats, Despino and Jim's Big South Tire, the Red River Waterway Commission, and Stingray Line Cutter. Cuts any and all fishing line quick and easy. One of the top products at ICAST 2017. Go to stingraylinecutter.com to get yours. Now back to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show. Have you seen our new website? Well, check it out, HUTDshow.com. It's a great source for all things related to the great outdoors, including local weather, recipes, calendar of events, and the latest blog. Coming soon, HUTD video tips, reviewing products and situations that will help you make a better outdoorsman. Also, catch one of our latest shows by going to our video archives and catch up on whatever you missed on today's show. Go to HUTDshow.com to see more. That's HUTDshow.com, the best resource for outdoors news and information.
I'm Gary McCoy, along with the old Ranger Daiwa Pro Staffer Steve Graff. The Mud Hen Mike Eccles is here, and of course Topwater's there. And on the phone with us, the Director of Events and Tourism for BASS, Michael Malone. And you guys just don't want to play with us no more because we can't play by the rules, can we? Y'all go take your marbles and go home.
We do want to play. We do. That's the whole point. We want to play.
But you know what? I don't blame you at all for the confusion and the safety of BASS anglers.
And I think you guys have been talking about this today, and we're kind of jumping right in. Everybody knows what's going on, and it's one of those things where this has been coming down the line for a while. We've been talking about it at Bass for quite some time. Even back in the days when, there was an incident with Gary Klein at the 2001 Classic in New Orleans, where a landowner was not happy that he was fishing in his quote-unquote area. And, we are really, we're at the end of the day, we want a positive resolution. We'd like to work together to try to get this going in the right direction so we can come down and fish all those great waters.
Well, Michael, we're behind y'all on this. We're actually on your side. We're not trying to contradict what you're doing. We hate that you're doing what you're doing because we understand.
No, we hate you have to do it.
Exactly. We hate that you have to do this and make a decision like this because, but actually you started a firestorm probably here in Louisiana that needs to be started, and we're hoping that it leads to something good down the road. But I've done a lot of research on this in the last 2 days. This is a mountain, Michael. I don't know if y'all will ever be, or us, BASS, or anybody else will overcome because there's so much money involved in this. It's ridiculous.
And we understand that. And a little bit, and from our perspective at this point, and things will change. But right now it's a twofold conversation. First, it's that the ruling itself that we could be fishing in one area, the tide comes up, and now we're fishing in an area where the guy considers that his backyard, and now we're fishing on his property. And there are different areas around the country where we go and fish where it may be a marine area that has been man-made and dug out, and that's considered an off-limits area, or it's just a cove that the person owns, and because they've got a swim area, and maybe a good fishing area, but that's an off-limits area, and it depends by state. And we aren't looking necessarily to upset the apple cart and really cause a firestorm. What we're looking to do is to try to get some clarity and understand kind of what the effects of where this is, and then the second part of it is the posting of it. But before I go too far to the posting side of it, if it continues this way, that nothing changes, it's hard for us to continue to do the business down there and have our tournaments in those areas because it's just not an even playing field. And I think that's what I really want to make sure that we're expressing from our tournament side of things is that to make it an even, we're a magazine company, we're a media company, membership, and of course tournaments, and we want to make an even playing field for all competitors. And by having areas that are not consistent, then we really can't have that for our tournament competition. And we'd be happy to discuss and be a part of the conversation with state and local officials on what other destinations do and what other states do to overcome this, because it is where it is. And then the other part of it that I do want to make about the signage, something can be posted one day or not posted one day and then posted the other day. So that's the other component of it. And if it comes to pass, they say, well, we're just going to post everything and everything's off limits. Well, then that really doesn't solve the problem as much. It just kind of highlights the fact that there's a lot of areas that are not able to fish. And we are glad we're starting the conversation. We're glad that we're a part of it. We're sorry that it had to come to this. But we want everybody in Louisiana to know that there are great fishing areas all over the place, including the Chapala Basin, and as what I call the LA of LA, the lower area of Louisiana. And, we hope we can make this work in the future.
Well, our Lieutenant Governor, Billy Nungesser, has just launched recently a campaign trying to draw people into Come Fish Louisiana. I mean, he was up here just a month or two ago as part of this, and they're running commercials.
Spending a big ad campaign
Come
right
to
now.
the Louisiana Lakes, and here we've got come to the Louisiana Lakes, but you got to be real careful.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be, they're fighting themselves.
Yeah.
They're wondering why we can't get more people to come to Louisiana fish the lakes, and we've got these incredibly off-the-wall, stupid regulations that makes it, where not only uncomfortable but even dangerous for people to get out and navigate around and wind up in what's deemed private waters.
And one thing we want to make clear, Michael, is the fact that this doesn't affect Toledo Bend. Toledo Bend is fine. Everything's good there. And I brought it up here on the show a while ago. Red River is kind of falling into this category because there's 3 areas that you're not allowed to go in on Red River that's navigable. So BASS and FLW have always put those off limits, and I think Mike does it with his circuit. And, so,
and we're aware of that. And I think you brought up a great point when it came to the recreational side of things, is that what we do with promoting our tournaments and having our events, when they're on ESPN and Bassmaster.com and worldwide audiences watching, millions of page views on our platforms, people watching from around the country, we want recreational anglers to go to those destinations and fish where the pros fish. And if the campaign, which I know it is, and they do a great job of that, of getting recreationals down there, it's actually more difficult because a lot of recreational anglers don't necessarily do the research like our tournament anglers do. They just go out and say, I'm going to try to find some spots that look good around there. So you're right, it can cause some potential conflicts in those situations because they otherwise wouldn't know the ins and outs of it. And, we want to help promote tourism, and that's really what my background is. I'm a tourism professional, and I do sports and tourism events. I've been doing it my entire career, and by the nature of working for Bassmaster, I have a bit of knowledge when it comes to these types of things. At the end of the day, we want to be a partner with Louisiana, with Louisiana Tourism, and with each of the destinations that have hosted our events. We have had multiple conversations with Morgan City, and with Shreveport and with Manning, and we did our nation events in West Monroe, and all of those destinations have been just top notch, rolling out the red carpet for all of us, and fantastic fisheries where we've held the classic and we've held open tournaments, elite series tournaments. So we want to keep it coming, and we want to keep bringing it in there, and we appreciate that you guys understand and have sympathy for the anglers and the outdoorsmen. Because we want to make sure that we can get more people to Louisiana to fish.
Michael, let me reset the stage. Michael Malone is the Director of Events and Tourism for Bassmaster, and what's going on is that the BASS has made a decision not to hold any more tournaments in Louisiana because of the issues regarding accessibility to the what would be normally deemed navigable waters that could possibly coastal and tidal waters that are owned by individuals or corporations, and sometimes that can change within a matter of hours just with the tide.
Yeah.
And it's caused a lot of controversy, a lot of confusion with BASS anglers. There's been, people who were thoroughly scared for the loss of their life.
Yeah, you better know where you're at in South Louisiana, especially.
Now, one of the issues that's occurred to me, Michael, is have you dealt with this before anywhere else or something like this where you had to say, hey, look, we can't come back here because of whether it was this issue or something else, and did you get a positive resolution on that?
Nothing to this degree.
Okay. So this is a first.
We're number one again.
For me, and by the way, before I get into that, we are talking to other Louisiana destinations about future tournaments.
Okay.
This is just right now for the Chapelizod Basin, really as to what we've discussed for tournaments in that area. The Red River and Wapsaw and Manny and Toledo Bend is in play, and so I want to make sure that's known, that this isn't a hard and fast for the entire state, but just the areas that are of concern. There have been some destinations that we've gone to that said, you know what, it's a challenge to go there because of we worry about flooding, we worry about that it's not safe for the anglers because there's we've looked at lakes and say, well, there's a lot of spots where they can get in trouble, but nothing where it's been like, well, the destinations not welcoming us and the lake people aren't. I've had some places where, like, there's a lake association and they have a lot of permit challenges in order to make it difficult for tournaments to happen there, but they welcome recreational anglers. So that's the thing for everybody the way it is, and they're doing fine with their own business how that is. So without mentioning which one it is, it's very few and far between, but nothing of stature that the Chapelizod Basin has, or how Louisiana is sportsman's paradise. and it really is one of the premier states in the country for outdoorsmen.
Michael, is this going to affect, or how will it affect the tournaments held out of the Sabine River out of Beaumont, Texas, where a vast majority of the anglers filtered over into the west side of the state?
And that's a great question. And the decision was made when we came out with this last week that for the Orange Texas tournament of next year, first full week in April of next year, that it's Texas waters only for that.
Wow.
And it really would have started because and I was the one that was kind of pushing it because I needed to get some talking points and messaging to the folks in Morgan City. When we had our open tournament in Orange earlier this year, we had some folks come and talk to us and say, this is the area that's off limits. And we're like, oh, okay, that's the Louisiana state officials. I said these areas are off limits. And you combine, those conversations with what we know with what is what are the rulings for public and private ownership around those waters. And it says, you know what? If in the interest of fair play for everybody being on the same available waters, and we're going to have to make this decision. Now, granted, from that event, it's the anglers are staying in Texas. The economic impact of the tournament is in Texas. When people ask about, well, it's just a fishing tournament, an Open Series tournament will generate about $2.1 million in economic impact for a destination like Morgan City. An Elite Series would be a little bit more because we'll have a bigger crowd and more sponsors that come to it, more in the $2.5 million mark. But again, the media that comes along with it, the exposure, the residual tourism, that you can add to the pot. And those are the dollars which are the hard, tangible, quantifiable dollars that will be affected. Now, some people are like, fine, hey, we're okay without it. We don't want it. But there's a whole industry that's out there. Tourism and sports tourism, after 9/11, was the only tourism-related industry that did not take a decline. People still traveled for sports events. They still brought their boats and traveled around to different destinations to fish and to go hunting and to do their thing. Every other sector of tourism dropped after 9/11. So it's one of those that when you talk, and I get passionate about it because I was working in hotels after 9/11, and I myself and others their job because tourism was so hardly hit after that horrific event. So when you talk about the economy, you talk about what happens to people when they have hotel jobs or they're a housekeeper or a front desk staff. This is something that affects people in their jobs and in their industries when you take a sector like a fishing tournament out. Now, granted, we're not doing fishing tournaments there every week. But when you don't have the welcome mat open for that, and it can be, you're going to have to either deal with it and find something else or try to do something to fix it so that everybody benefits for it and it's a safe and enjoyable activity for all.
Michael, while we don't like it, we understand, and we certainly appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for helping us carry the flag, and we look forward to working with everybody in Louisiana to resolve this issue on a positive note.
Amen.
Thank you, Michael.
BASS Director of Events and Tourism, Michael Malone, and I'm assuming that there's going to be a flip side to this coin, and Ryan Lambert is going to...
Well, Ryan's in full agreement with what we've been talking about, but he's going to give the other side, too.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
think
We've got a new slogan, Louisiana, the sportsman's paradise. As long as you live and vote south of I-10.
Ryan Lambert from Cajun Fishing Adventures is next, and he'll give a little bit of the other side and explain exactly how that's going on. But it's nice to know that hopefully he's working as well with the politicians down south for a resolution on this. We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
This show would not be possible without our very own Evangel Eagle, Jay Wadley. That's right, who pushes all the right buttons while producing this show. This segment presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Bayou Outdoors Supercenter, Cigar Fishing Line, and Groove Fishing. Changing the future of tackle storage forever. Go to Groove, G-R-U-V, fishing.com to learn more. Take it away, guys.
Every once in a while, a new fishing product comes out that's I gotta have one of these. Well, introducing the Stingray line cutter. Scissors are no longer needed in your boat, as this new line cutting system is as handy as a pocket on a shirt. Quick, easy, and safe, the Stingray line cutter will save you time on the water when making bait changes. Go to stingraylinecutter.com to order the best line cutter ever. That's stingraylinecutter.com.
On the phone, our buddy Ryan Lambert from Cajun Fishing Adventures. And Ryan, I hadn't had a chance to talk to you since last year when we went down there for the casting blast. We had so much fun. Teal hunting in the morning, going catching redfish.
Eating.
The eating. And, you know, now, hey, Ryan, there's one bad thing to the whole thing.
Gaining weight?
Well, I was going to say, one of my buddies last night told me how fat I was getting, so I figured it must be time to come back down there and get some more of that redfish dip that you got.
Oh, isn't it good?
Son.
People come with Tupperware dishes now. You mind if Miss Lupe cooks some and so I can bring home?
I'm telling you, man.
I need a to-go box, a to-go igloo.
That stuff's it's contagious.
Okay, Ryan, we've got an issue. BASS has just determined. We just got off the phone with Michael Malone. He is the director of events and tourism for BASS, and they've made the decision not to hold any more tournaments in the southern part of the state, especially. I don't think that they include Red River, though there are issues.
No, right.
But from listening to him, I don't think that they include Red River. We know they don't include Toledo Bend on that, but there are places in the Atchafalaya Basin where they will no longer hold tournaments because of our state's exclusion of some navigable waters that have been deemed private ownership, though that they're coastal or through tidal conditions. That these waters, even though they're navigable, they're not fishable by private individuals.
Now, Ryan, and before you respond to that, let's go all the way back. You brought up to me, when me and you were talking the other day, how far back this goes. This goes back to a law that was put in place many, many decades ago.
Well, you have to look at it. Louisiana has lost 2,000 square miles. This is an area larger than the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon is 1,906 square miles. So put this into context, as little as Louisiana is. We've lost 2,000 square miles in the last 50 years. So as that land recedes back, it's getting into private property areas, and those guys don't want to relinquish just because there's no land. They still want the bottom. So we come into a problem. Now go back to when Van Dam won the Classic, right at the mouth of Davis Pond Diversion, with a world record weight. Now, that was right out of New Orleans. It did $100 million economic advantage to New Orleans. $100 million. And for some reason, we can't see the forest for the trees here. So as the land erodes, first of all, we have to try to fix that problem. And we're doing that as hard as we can. I work tirelessly on coastal restoration every day. But at some point in time, we're going to have to come to the realization that the good of all the public is more important than a few individuals. Now, I can see not getting on their land, not encroaching in their duck ponds and stuff like that, and that's a big issue. So, I have to look at the whole side of it, but if it's a navigable waterway, it ought to be open to the public. And it's a big fight in Louisiana right now. The Charter Boat Association is in it. Everyone is in it. They're making some progress, but at the end of the day, the landowners are the big dog in the hunt, and they got a lot of money and a lot of clout and a lot of lobby. And that's where it's at. Now, do we want to lose hundreds of millions of dollars because, special interest groups? It's time for Louisiana to change. And we're having the same problem with restoration on oyster leases and things like that. We're fighting this big fight every day for our water rights.
And here's how they're determining this, Ryan. The State Land Office is looking back at maps from 1812 to determine if a waterway or water body was navigable enough to float commercial boats 2 centuries ago.
Right. So look at it this way for your listening audience. Your listening audience says, well, we don't have a dog in the hunt. We're not involved in that. Yes, you are. Because you have the legislators that are away from these lobbyists. And you can influence your legislators to come to the table to change these laws because you're further away from the influence of these people with these big sticks.
You know, Ryan, where we teal hunted last year, you have to pay a pretty hefty lease to lease that property where we teal hunted.
Correct.
Would you? Obviously, that's deemed private water. Would that be deemed navigable? Would that be deemed public water if this were lifted?
It can only, the only way you could access it is in a mud boat. So is it navigable? Is it navigable in what? If you're running across marsh and dry land, well, you're not navigating, and that's not some way you could take big boats into it. There's going to have to be some laws put in there to protect duck hunting places and stuff that, now that we have all these go devils and all of these mud buddies and all the boats, you can go anywhere. I mean, it changed the whole landscape of duck hunting because people can run anywhere and nobody has to paddle or walk in the mud or anything anymore. So they've already trying to restrict that already because people 24 hours a day running those things through, and ducks can't rest anymore. We can't winter ducks because they're under pressure 24 hours a day. So there's going to have to be some restrictions on that, and I'm not a big lawmaking guy. The more rules, the less I like everything. But common sense will have to prevail in some of this, and I think that we're going to have to use a map that's more recent because, or we still making these guys pay taxes on all that land that's underwater? I don't know.
You know what? That's a great point. If I'm having to pay tax on it, then it's mine.
Right. But when it turns to water, it's my understanding that the states retain the right to that then. So if you're not paying taxes on it, it shouldn't be private.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I agree.
and what's to keep, say, a wealthy guy, which a lot of those guys that own property down there are wealthy people, to hauling in a big barge load of sand and just rebuilding that area back up? I mean, what's to keep them from doing that?
It's a whole lot bigger than a barge, my man. It's the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
The Grand Canyon. So the only way to do it, and let me tell you what's going to happen with this. If we put the diversions in and start putting the river back out in the marsh will start growing back. But aquatic vegetation and bass, we will have so many bass in South Louisiana through the brackish water, and then it turns to redfish, then it turns to speckled trout. That's just the nature of it, how it's been since they made those maps you were talking about. And until we bring Louisiana back to her old self and put the river back in the marshes to solve some of this problems, because if it starts filling in, it's no longer navigable. So we're talking about as the land eroded, the saltwater fish have gone inland. There's saltwater fish all the way to Lake Buff, which is 100 miles from the Gulf. So if we don't have any fresh water in the estuary, the saltwater fish keep encroaching all the way to, 60 and 100 miles inland. They shouldn't be there. Open it up, bring the bass back where they're supposed to be, the sac-a-lait, the catfish, ducks, and let the saltwater fish be in the coastal areas. That's the way it's supposed to be. And until we reverse the trend that we have, we're going to have all these problems.
So, Ryan, can this war be won? Is it something that you just not going to happen?
It can be won, but it only can be won in places. We can't save everything. It's just too big of a massive problem. But the tools that we have right now, let's say Davis Pond, the one I just brought up, where Van Dam won right at the mouth of it. The next year, a hurricane comes in, and they close the locks. And when they opened the locks after the hurricane, there was 6, 8, 9, 10-pound bass floating everywhere you look dead because they couldn't go further into the freshwater. Saltwater got up there and killed them all. Killed all that grass that was in there, and there's never been grass back in there since because they won't open the diversion. We have all these tools at our access, but we're not using them because that particular one is because of oyster fishermen. They have a law passed that monitors the water all the way toward the Gulf of Mexico and Bad Terre Bay to monitor the water between 5 and 15 parts per thousand. Now, why are we monitoring all the water in Louisiana for one special interest group? Makes no sense to me. We have to change the laws. You have to lobby y'all's legislators in the north, and it's just a phone call, and you're not going to talk to your legislator 90 out of 100 times. You'll be talking to an aide at a computer that's going to log down what you're saying. Tell them lobby for diversions, lobby for diversions, lobby for diversions. Let's open it up and save Louisiana.
Thank you, Ryan Lambert. I appreciate you,
Yeah,
brother.
man.
I got a real quick question for you, Ryan. I hadn't got to talk to you. I think that North Louisiana got screwed again on duck season because they moved the teal season back a week. Instead of opening the second Saturday of the month, they're going to open the third, and we killed about 80% of our teal up here the first week we hunt. However, what's it going to do for y'all? How do you honestly feel?
Last year I only killed 378 teal in 16 days. Normally I kill 800. It's all about when the cold fronts come, because you got to know that these birds aren't staying here. They're passing through going to Nicaragua. So it depends on when the cold fronts come. But even if they keep coming, the later it is in the season, the better off we are, because you'll be shooting them on every cold front, and we have a better chance of having cold fronts the 15th through the 30th than we do from the 8th through the 20th, you know?
Yeah.
So last year, the day after the season, we got a cold front. We had birds everywhere. Yeah, it was enjoyable watching them.
Yeah, 2 days after we left.
That's right. So, last year was my worst kill season in a long time, so you need to come back this year, and we get a cold front, you ride it down here, and we'll go whack some blue wings.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
Ryan Lambert from
Thank you,
Cajun
Ryan.
Fishing Adventures. Thank you, brother. We really appreciate
Okay,
it.
well, good to talk to y'all, guys.
Sit tight now. FLW Pro Justin Atkins just won the 2017 FLW Cup this past week on Lake Murray, South Carolina. He's next. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
Just a reminder that you can catch us again Saturday mornings from 6 to 8 here on 1130 The Tiger. This segment is presented by Natchitoches Ford, Wildwood Resort at Toledo Bend, and Davis Clothing and Outdoor. Clothing, apparel, and hunting products for everyone who enjoys the great outdoors. Now back to Gary, Steve, Mike, and Jay.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. It's Gary McCoy along with the old mud hen himself, Mike Eccles, Steve Graff, the Iowa Ranger Pro staffer. Topwater's in there. He's not wearing a hat today.
Yeah, he's got his fedora, though.
I don't know what it is.
It's Tom Landry
Is that
hat.
a toupee you got?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I don't want to talk. There's a reason there's not a camera on me.
Yeah.
And it's on you.
Are you a Tom Landry fan?
Yeah, no.
No? Aren't you a Cowboy fan?
Nope.
But you know what? Now, back in the day, Tom Landry was probably the
absolutely.
ultimate gentleman
Oh, no doubt.
that was ever on the side of a
coach.
football field. Yeah, without a doubt. Here's your V&M Baits best times to fish this Friday and Saturday. The fishing is rated as good, with Sunday rated as excellent. There's a 30% chance of rain each day as temperatures rise back up into the low to mid-90s. Nighttime lows around 75. New moon by Sunday. New moon means no moon?
No moon.
Yeah. Best time to fish midday, Friday, 8:50 to 11:50 a.m. Sunrise 6:39. Sunset 7:52. Saturday, 9:50 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. Sunrise at 6:39. Sunset 7:51. Sunday, 10:50 a.m. to 1:50 p.m. Just goes up an hour each night. Sunrise at 6:40, sunset 7:50. This has been your V&M Baits Best Times to Fish.
And on the phone.
Yes, the
Speaking
man.
of best times to fish.
Dude.
It wouldn't be right the day after he fishes.
No, it wouldn't.
He'd have sang the whole blasted lake.
Exactly.
He is Justin Adkins, winner of the 2017 FLW Cup this past week, Lake Murray, South Carolina. Is that set in on you yet? I mean, winner, FLW Cup. I won that. That's me.
Yeah, no, it hasn't set in at all, guys. It's an unbelievable experience. Put a lot of hard work into getting to it, and now that it's here, it's hard to wrap my mind around it.
Well, Justin, let's back up. I watched it live on FLW Live during the weigh-in, and congratulations, man. I was so happy for you. And either you or Brandon, either one. I know y'all are roommates. I know y'all are big buddies, and I know that had to be tough. It's a tough way. You know, last thing you want to do is beat your best friend.
No, I want to beat y'all every time. We'll make a video about it.
Okay. All right, but anyway, Justin, go back. You alluded to you almost didn't fish this year. Go back to what you said on stage as to you put your faith, basically in God and said, "Hey, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, let me know."
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of a multiple year process getting to this point. I always wanted to live in Florence, live on Pickwick. I grew up in Columbus, Mississippi, and I had a job opportunity open up that moved me up here. And then when I got here, another job opportunity opened up that allowed me to have more freedom to fish. And I had when that job opportunity came up, which is the one that I still currently have. I'm a contract worker for Humminbird. I do some hydrographic surveying for them. I haven't done any this year so far, because I've been so busy fishing. But last year that's what I did for them. And I was going to take the approach of trying to get a guide business set up on the Tennessee River during my time home from working with Humminbird. And instead, kind of taking that route, the door opened up that the All-American was going to be on Pickwick this year. And I didn't know, I didn't want to sit there and say that I was going to win it, but I felt like I'd have a really good event, and that tournament pays really well. So I started working, this time last year, trying to save as much money as I could to get me through the first part of the season, and then if I could make it All-American, and if I did well, I would make enough money to kind of make it through the rest of the season. So that's kind of how I approached it.
Now, was you trying to qualify through the Coasters or the BFL?
For the tour, I actually signed up for the tour via being a Ranger boat owner.
Okay.
But I just used the All-American as a hopeful that I would have a good event. Because when I started this year, between sponsor money and what I was able to save, along with just day-to-day living expenses, I only had enough money to fish about 3 or 4 events. And, I just I had a feeling that's what I was supposed to do. I'd prayed about it a lot. And, it's so hard to put into words because how magically everything kind of worked out. I mean, it wasn't magical. I mean, it was a miracle. I mean, it was God's plan. And, that's why I wore Proverbs 3:5-6 on my jersey this year. Just because I felt like that verse is exactly how, I felt like my life was playing out. I put it all to Him. I felt like that's where He wanted me to be. And, sometimes if you just listen and walk by faith, it plays out good. He has a plan for everything, for sure.
Well, Justin, do us a favor. Walk us through the 3 days, how you caught the fish, on what type of baits, and what changed from day to day, and how you had to adapt.
Okay. All right. So, we get there to start, at the beginning of practice. The first day of practice was sunny in the morning time. Well, I had gone and pre-practiced and found some of these cane piles and kind of figured out that was, definitely going to be a possibility to be a big player in the tournament. So I spent my first morning of practice that was sunny looking, graphing some cane piles, doing a little bit of graphing, things like that, and just kind of getting the feel back for the lake. Well, the bite kind of ended at between 10 and 11 o'clock every day. It was really a strong morning bite, and so I didn't fish any that first morning. Well, every other morning, it was cloudy, and the bite lasted a little bit past 11. And, you know, sometimes I could get a bite on in 12 or 1 o'clock. I didn't fish a whole lot. I spent just a lot of time looking for more spots because I could see the fish on my hummingbird. That new mega imaging is awesome. When you idle by those cane piles, I could see the cane. I could see how fresh it was. I could see if fish were in it or not. And so fast forward to first day of tournament, it's cloudy like it has been every day I fished in practice. So everything went right according to plan. I knew where the bite was going to come from. I knew how to get the bite, what to expect. I didn't think I would catch 21 pounds. I felt like, I told my wife that if I had a really good day, I felt like I'd catch 18, you know, which was a super strong bag, you know, especially when 12 pounds and some change a day won last time they were there. So that was kind of what I expected, and turned out I could catch, you know, 21, and I had that in the box by 10-something o'clock.
Wow.
Well, fast forward to day 2, it's sunny when we get out there. You know, on live, it's low light conditions, you know, through the camera lens and all that, but it's actually pretty bright compared to what it's been all week. And the actual sun, I can see the sun, you know, in between intermittent few clouds. And I'm expecting the same thing to go down just because it's early. Well, I get there, and I cannot get the fish to come directly up out of the cane pile like they had all week. And it took me 3 or 4 stops before I realized that the fish are out around the cane. For some reason, when it was cloudy, that herring, you know, it's completely different from a shad. I mean, it's actually, I think, an originated saltwater fish.
And we're talking blue herring.
Blueback herring, correct. It runs around real close to the surface on sunny days. Well, I think with them being up high in the water column, those fish would use that cane pile as a central location, but they would get out around it. Because the bluebacks are up so high in the water column, the fish could get out off the cover and still, you know, not be seen by the bluebacks because they're directly under them. Well, on cloudy days, best thing I can figure was that the bait got down. I mean, I would see that going on my electronics a lot too. The bait would look real high in the water on sunny days, and it would get down deeper on cloudy. So I think on cloudy days, the fish were getting more right in the cover to kind of use that as an ambush point instead of getting out and almost like wolfpack roaming, you know, around the cover. So that's why on cloudy days, my bite would come right over the top of the cane. So day 2, it's sunny, and I can't get a bite right over the cane, and the fish are coming up schooling around it. And so it took me, you know, I lost probably an hour of my 3-hour bite window trying to figure it out. So that's why I was a little bit behind the 8 ball, plus I lost a really good one. I mean, I had 4 good ones to make that, you know, 15-pound, 14-ounce sack I had, but I weighed in one that was less than 2 pounds. So one more good bite would have propelled me to having, you know, another 19-pound day. So I didn't write that down as being like a loss or I've lost this tournament because of this. It was really a good learning experience that prepared me for day 3. Because day 3, when we blasted off, the conditions were a lot alike. And so I fished one spot. There was no activity going on. The next spot, I had one big one, you know, come up and try to school, and I actually missed him. So Brandon had started in an area that he started further down his rotation, and I started further down mine. So my 3rd stop of the morning was actually like my 15th stop the other 2 mornings. So when I roll up there, the fish are actually schooling, and I knew there was a good population of fish in this area because there's a lot of fresh cane piles in one little area around the flat. And when I pulled up there, those fish were actually using that flat as kind of an ambush point coming up out of the cane. And I was ready for that because I pulled up, and I would throw one time directly over the cane pile, and then I'd start throwing out around it instead of focusing my efforts right on it. And I actually caught my 2 biggest ones that were not schooling just off the side of the cane out there. And then the rest of them I caught were actually, you know, visibly busting, schooling fish.
Wow.
So day 2 really just prepared me for day 3.
Certainly.
You know, that's a big thing in multiple day tournaments is just paying attention to what, you know, nature and the fish are telling you, you know, because if you pay attention to things like that, fish are real predictable. But if you're not paying attention, they're really frustrating because you don't have a clue what they're doing.
Right. Just
so that's a big thing.
FLW rules. Could you have added cane piles yourself? Had you, you know, elected to?
Before off limits.
Before off limits, you could have put some cane piles yourself out. When you pull up when you pull up to these cane piles the first times that you know how do you know that it's cane that's down there?
Because it's really tall. a fresh cane pile would look almost like a telephone pole with, little leaves coming off of it. And there's several of them together, and it'd make it look real bushy, but it would be skinny and tall. And so that's how you knew it was cane. A lot of people would put them out anywhere from 18 to 22 or 25 foot deep, and the cane would come up within 10 foot of the surface. And so that's the only thing, that's going to be that tall and straight is, bamboo or cane or whatever you want to call it. And that's how, I knew. And like I said before, when I would go by them, if it wasn't a fresh pile, it would just almost look like a telephone pole. It wouldn't have any kind of bushiness to it. Every now and then you'd see a fish around that. But when you find a real good fresh pile, it would be real bushy. You'd have, dark hard returns with some lighter return in the middle, which would just be a dark shadow almost coming off of my sonar. And you would have these dark returns from the fish in them. And a good pile would have anywhere from 5 to 15, 20 fish in it. And the more fish that were in it, the better your chances were, because what you want to do is get them to compete. When you just have 1 or 2 fish down there and you bring that topwater bait over the top of it and they just kind of watch it go by, that's no big deal. When you got a lot of fish there, one of them subjects get interested. And when one gets interested, the rest of them are like, I don't want him to get that, I want it.
Is that the only body of water you've ever seen cane used like that?
Yes. Yes, it is. I have fished herring lakes before where we caught them up out of brush on topwater bait. But the deal for cane is that's a big largemouth thing. All the herring lakes I'd ever fished were spotted bass lakes. And a spotted bass will come a long ways for a topwater. They'll come out of 25, 35 foot of water. But a largemouth, even though he is a different breed of fish in a herring lake, I mean, they get long, skinny, like a spotted bass out of a herring lake. It makes them more like a missile. So they have to be really quick, but he's still a largemouth at the end of the day, and he doesn't want to travel that far. So 10 or 12 foot is a pretty good stretch to get a largemouth to come up. And so that was the purpose of using the cane, is to give them cover up higher in the water column, so you can still call them up and catch them on that, on that topwater bait.
Now, Justin, these cane piles, this is obviously stuff put out for local anglers, but is it put out for the bass or is it put out for crappie?
It's put out for bass.
Okay.
The guys that put it out, are definitely for the bass fishing. I'm not going to say that crappie do not get around them, because crappie love vertical cover. And so in the winter months, I would see cane as probably being an awesome piece of structure to catch crappie off of.
Well,
I actually thought about that when I was grassing them.
You gave me some great ideas for Toledo Bend.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking, I know a bunch of canes that I can make some bus tops.
And you know what? People would probably pay you to cut it.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how those guys over there are. They're, if they can find a cane patch and figure out who owns that property, those people are normally just thrilled they're going to come get it.
So, Justin, what are you thinking about Hot Springs next year?
Man, I can't wait. It's it's a big release to already be qualified for it. I can just fish a lot freer next year on tour. People say stuff like, I can swing for the fence now. Man, I swing for the fence every time. I'm always going to do whatever it takes for me to do what I think is best.
Yeah.
But when you're not worried about having to catch one more bass, it's 1 o'clock and you got 4 big ones in the live well. But to make the cup, you might need to just catch one more. But to make the cut, a top 10 in that tournament, you need one more big one. You don't have to worry about that. You just keep fishing for that big one and do whatever it takes. So it'll free up my year as far as being stressed about making it. I always want to do as well as I can, win Angler of the Year, win anything I can. But it's a lot easier when you don't have to worry about making that championship. You've already got it behind you, and looking forward to just going out there and fishing in the regular season.
Well, Justin, we appreciate you being with us. You'll do a great job of representing FLW as a Cup champion, and we look forward to seeing you in Hot Springs, Arkansas next year.
That sounds good, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Justin Atkins, FLW, the winner of the 2017 FLW Cup this past week, Lake Murray South. And I'm telling you, I never thought about using cane like that before.
No, he was throwing me off with that.
Now I don't know that bass on Toledo Bend would get into it, but man, you think about how good that would be for some white perch piles down there, and how readily available cane is.
Well, keep in mind that he's saying this is only going to be good when the leaves are on it, so it's a constant maintenance.
Sure, sure. And you know what? If you talk to the white perch guides on Toledo Bend, That's something they're doing constantly, every month. We are hooking up and tracking down. Can you believe it? We're almost out of time. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
Every soul that believes him, I reel him in, and he washes away their sin.
Want some great wild game recipes? Check out our new website at HUTDshow.com, an information resource for all things related to the great outdoors. This segment is presented by Nichols Department Stores, Kamagatsu Hooks, Spro Lures, and K2 Coolers. Durable, heavy-duty, and lightweight coolers with real value that keeps items real cold at a price that's real easy on the wallet. One more time, here's four guys that are real serious about the outdoors. Jay Watley, Gary McCoy, Steve Graff, and Mike Eccles. Hey, don't forget that the Hookin' Up and Tracking Down show airs again on Saturday mornings from 6 till 8, right here on 1130 The Tiger, home of the LSU Tigers and the Hookin' Up and Tracking Down show.
I gotta throw a little love Kevin Jean's way from V&M.
Yeah, doing a great job.
He's got us live right now on I guess it's on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. You live right now on YouTube.
We need to know that.
Kevin did that.
Now, wait a second. We're live on YouTube every week.
Right.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that.
Oh, well, you do that.
Hang on one second. Man.
No respect.
No
Jay.
love.
Sorry.
Hey, I knew it was you.
Kevin just posted on Facebook that we're live on YouTube.
That's it. Let me put my hat on real quick.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're big time now,
I
Gary.
just wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Yeah, I think I've been doing that for 2 years now.
Well, I'm sorry.
Wake up and join the show, McCoy.
Yeah.
We got
That's
these
what y'all
bad
tell me all the
tournaments to
time.
talk about everything. Holy Angels is next.
Yeah, we got
Saturday.
Holy Angels coming up. I'll give you a little rundown of that real quick. If you're $5,000 guaranteed first place, it's a scramble event. You can go to Black Lake, Bistineau, Caddo, Grand Bay, Red River, or Toledo Bend. Two-man team event, 3 bass limit. Eccles will be handling the weigh-in there at Red River South. And live auction, family fun, food, great food. Start fishing at 6:30, stop fishing at 2:30. Weigh-in line closes at, well, it doesn't close at 3.
What time's the weigh-in
You have
start?
to be in weigh-in line by 3.
Well, okay.
Well, it doesn't. I mean,
Okay.
we'll be set up by 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking
Ready-
if somebody had fish that maybe were in a bad situation. What's the best advice you give somebody to keep your fish alive this time of the year? I mean, that's number one. Why you reduce the creel limit to 3.
Right. The biggest thing is you got to carry plenty of frozen bottles of water.
Yeah.
And you start by putting water in your live well in the morning, even if you think that jinxes you, and you cool that water down. If some of the live wells now have thermometers on them, they can actually watch the temperature on the I think on their dash or on their I'm sorry their units, their electronics.
Right.
They have a gauge there and they can watch it. And you fill your live well full of water, and then you recirculate it. You don't continue to pump water in all day.
Right. You're just pumping hot water in.
Use the good chemicals. You keep the water cooled down with bottles of water, and you don't try to put chlorine water in there. I mean, at least leave your bottles sealed off. And the final thing is have 2 or 3 bottles of water left over at the end of the day, frozen, in your ice chest, to where when you put your fish in the bag, you can put 1 or 2 of them in there.
Gotcha.
Suggestion.
So you don't want to reach over there. You've got them in 80, 75-degree water in your live well, and then reach over and fill your bag out of the lake, and it's 95, and throw your fish in there and go stand around with them for a while.
One thing I've started doing that is I've had a great success with it. Have lost 1 fish in the last 5 years. Of course, you got to catch more fish, but anyway, still, I did.
Only one he caught.
Yeah, I only caught 2, and you lost 1 of them. So,
but no, seriously, I take the
we're serious.
the G juice, and I actually put a cap full in a liter bottle, and then I fill that up with water, and then I take the cap off, and it's frozen. I freeze those, and then when I drop one in the live well, I take the cap off, and that stuff oozes out over a period of time and cools the water down. At the same time.
Use lake water when you do that?
No, I just use tap water because it decontaminates the tap water with the juice.
Does it really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
So you could conceivably, if you put G juice in the water, you could use water right straight out of the sink.
You can, and that kind of offsets too. A lot of people dump a bag of ice, which can have chlorine in the ice. That will offset, depending on how much. Now, one thing you got to be careful of with ice, you can shock fish.
Yeah.
And
one thing that we learned from Randy Farrer and them is you can overdo the G juice.
You can, not G juice. The granule. Rejuvenate. You can overdo rejuvenate.
Okay.
That's definitely
1 capful per
is all you should be putting in. Yeah. Yes. Is that it? That's it. No more.
But I guess the most important thing that Mike said was just keep it on recirculate. Don't keep pumping fresh, because then all your chemicals gone, everything.
And you're putting hot water in there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, take care of your fish. I want to say hats off. They had the TNT Championship this weekend on Cross Lake. That's the Thursday night tournament opposite of the Landers Ram Cash Splash. They had their championship on Cross Lake. Brian Bradshaw and Landon Kennington had 1905 to take first place. Tommy Neal and, his son-in-law Harris is all I know. They had 1868. Tandy Harlan, Brandon Collins had 1830. Had a dead fish.
Oh, no.
1 pound penalty. This is they would have won the tournament, but they wound up third. Brent Stewart and Kevin McGowan had 1644 for fourth place. Wesley Chase and I think it's Brian Hope came in fifth with 1617. Ben McCormick and Deschler, I don't remember his first name, had 1592 for sixth. Claude Eccles, Cody Brazil came in seventh with 1582. Mitchell and Mitchell, I don't know whether that's Chris Mitchell and his boy or what. It just says Mitchell and Mitchell were eighth with 1549. Todd Jackson and Kobe Han, I believe, had 1450 for ninth, and Ben Bledsoe and Chuck Williams rounded out the top 10 with 1441. Sound like they had a really good tournament.
Oh, yeah. When do you have your championship? The end of September?
It's September I think it's the 30th. The last Saturday of September, it will be the Cash Splash Championship. It will be a daytime tournament, just like the TNT was. We'll be out of the American Legion, going to be giving a Triton boat away. Entry fee is $100. You need to go by Bayou Outdoors and get entered. And you can launch anywhere on the lake, but you will have to come to American Legion and take off by how you finish for the year. Standings are listed on the website.
Don't forget one final word here before we get to the final word. The Hook It Up and Track It Down Facebook page. You want to get on there, dig down a few posts, and like, comment, and share the post on there. We are giving away a free entry into that Holy Angels.
I'm not seeing any shares on there.
But we will do this by Friday, so you only got a couple of days. Get it done. This Friday, we announce the winner.
Next week's the waterfowl breeding survey by Delta Waterfowl will also release that information as well. So,
and our final word.
Here's this week's final word. Only in Louisiana will politics get in the way of what's best for our state. As we found out today, the land laws of Louisiana go way back. But it's time for a change, as this will have an impact on our economy for many more years to come. If we don't come together and change it, nothing will ever change. To claim open coastal tidal water as private property is hard to wrap my brain around, but For the landowners of South Louisiana, it's a simple issue of respect for privacy that they have seen for decades based on Louisiana law. Sadly, I'm not sure if this will ever change as they continue to line the pockets of politicians. For Gary McCoy and Mike Eccles, Jay Watley, yours truly, Steve Graff. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week right here with more Hooking Up and Tracking Down on 1130 The Tiger.